Oh, hold on 1 second here. Okay. We just don't want to be talking on top of each other, but at the same time, I certainly don't have all the answers in the world. I can talk about 1965 Airstreams, but I know there's people here I see with the 1948, and there's people with newer ones. My current project that I'm working on is a 94 Excella. But bring us your project and your issues and things like that. And otherwise, if people want to talk about their other experiences that they're having, just throw out some general good tips and ideas for folks, we can do that too. Everybody's trying to get ready for this upcoming summer and all their travels. I know I am. And we just want to share our expertise, because we're the VAC. That's what we do, is we take these older trailers and keep them on the road and take good care of them. And some of them we fix them up. Excuse me. Up there on top of it, by the TV. Excuse me. My other half there. Okay. So, if does anybody have anything they want to jump in with as a starter?
Steve's got his hands raised.
Steve.
Thank you. You may want to introduce this one guy by the name of Eric, our president. You might want to introduce him.
Okay, we have a lot of great faces I see here tonight, and we are very, very happy and honored to have our current international president, Eric McHenry, as a member of the VAC. That we really appreciate. Eric has taken a lot of interest in our club and is giving us a lot of support, and folks should really, everybody in the VAC should appreciate that a lot. So Eric,
thanks John, and thanks Steve. Yeah, Laverne and I joined VAC in Wyoming at the rally. We've always sort of just hung around the VAC activities at the international rallies. It's a well-known fact that that's where the fun is, the VAC rallies. And so we've always hung around. We finally joined. Really happy. And as Steve alluded to, and John alluded to, we've got some pretty interesting things coming up to try to highlight the importance of our historical items in our club, about our vintage units, our history, WBCCI, Wally, and kind of the formation of our club. So looking forward to the next year or so, and pretty cool stuff coming. So thank you for letting me join. You guys are always a blast. Thanks.
You're very welcome, Eric. I appreciate that. We also have pretty much most of our board for VAC here. Our president, Steve Blackmer, is online. Our first VP, James, there he is, James Shaw. Our second VP, George Watson, and his lovely wife, DJ, who does our newsletter, and she does an amazing job. DJ, kudos to you. We have Damon Beals, our webmaster, here with us tonight. Judy Moran, our membership chairman.
That camera that was up there above our mirror last year.
Okay, don't know who that is. One of our hardest working members there, and Tom Kirk, our treasurer, also a very important position. Thank you all for jumping in here and helping support me tonight. I appreciate it a lot. And my good friend Ron Lyric, whose other half Chris is our quartermaster. And they're another, their restoration skills, I'll tell you what, they're right up there. So who wants to kick off? Who's got an issue or something they've got going on with the trailer that they'd like to talk about? Bill? Oh, Bill, I forgot Bill. Bill's our region 1 rep. Yep. Bill Campbell, and he's got a ton of restoration experience too, much more than I do. So, yeah. Nobody wants to start off. Okay.
I think Bill is trying to start off.
Bill,
but
Bill, you're muted. I just thought he was waving.
There you go.
There we go.
Hello? Hi. Hear me?
Yep. Perfect.
So I have a question that maybe someone can help me with. Vintage Trailer Supply, well, Dometic discontinued the old vintage style fantastic fans a while back. And we're working on a trailer now that we desperately need a new version of that, and wondering what anyone is using that is vintage worthy.
As a total replacement for the fan, or
Total
just
replacement, although
okay.
I would highly entertain putting the workings in an old vent and using the old vent, which I like. I like the look of it, but you know, the Dometic vent was a plastic replica that people sometimes put the aluminum cover over top, and now it's become this white monstrosity that is also about $500, I think. I mean, it's a pricey item, and wondering if anybody has any new ideas about that. As a replacement, a total replacement or a partial replacement, to use the workings from another fan. In and out would be nice. Something modern that's not as old and cranky as the old vents.
Yeah.
Anybody come across that?
No, my original hair vent that I had in my 65 Caravel had someone had replaced the motor, the fan motor in it, and it's a little bit loud, but worked fine. I have no idea where the motor for it or anything came from.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have. Ron, do you have any? Ron?
I'm just using new ones. So I ordered like 3 different ones, 4 different ones, and they just have a you can see, you know, there's white. You can see them. I don't know if you can see them, but it's just a white.
Okay, so it's kind of like the big white vent dam. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid that just because it's white and it's modern.
Yeah, it
may work very well, but
Colin used to take the aluminum cover and put them on the old ones, but yeah, it's changed.
Yep. Okay.
What are you putting it on, Bill?
It's a 1962 Safari, which it's actually our trailer that we've owned since 2001, and it's getting a complete major redo. I found some issues with it, and kind of really surprised because I thought it was in much better shape than it was, having won so many awards. And turns out that lots of frame rust around the wheel wells, the outriggers had pushed out, and everything was a bit wonky. So I had to take a bunch of outriggers off and redo the whole frame. And now it's getting a gray tank, and the floor's back on, and the body's almost ready to go back on.
Sounds like a project.
Oh, it's a project. It surprises me every time how much more work it is than I imagine when I'm thinking about it. Never price these things.
So I have an issue on my 65 Caravelle. I don't know if it's all the 65s. It has the large single door hinge. Okay. And over the last 3 years, and I've trailered that Caravelle a lot in the past 3 years, probably 15,000 miles, I'd say, from Key West, Florida to Maine to out to Wyoming, Upper Peninsula. And my door is slowly rotating. And it checked the frame and everything is square, hasn't moved. So I talked to a guy in our local club who worked for General RV for about 30 years. Said, I think your hinge pin is worn. I don't know if anybody else has experienced that with one of them. I know I was in Jackson Center last week and stopped in at the maintenance center and said, hey, I've got a 65 Airstream. You guys work on those? I described my problem and he promptly said, no, we don't have the parts. You know, you should talk to one of the other restoration people around, you know, go to PNS because, you know, they knew I'm from Ohio. So that's a little irritating to me. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, you know.
I've had a similar issue.
Yeah.
If you can hear me.
Yes,
I've had a similar issue on my 66 Tradewind. It started, I've owned it for 16 years, no issues for 14 years. And then about a year ago, I was getting movement of the door. And I looked carefully. It's got a stainless steel pin.
Mm-hmm.
And people talk about the pin wearing, but it's in an aluminum hinge. And in my opinion, the pin is not wearing at all. The hinge is what's worn. And I was able to, I tried to find somebody else with this problem so I could copy their solution. And I came up with nothing. But I did come up with a solution.
What's your solution?
Basically, and one of the old vintage posts helped me out with this. First, I had to remove the pin.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was going to be difficult because they said you got to have an air hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I shouldn't have to use an air hammer. So I tried it with a hammer and pin and, you know, came up with zero. So I went to Harbor Freight and spent a whole $20 for an air hammer. And then I bought a pin that was the wrong size, but I did find a local machine shop that fortunately is just a couple miles from my house. And he machined it down to just slightly less than 1/4 of an inch, because it's a 1/4 inch stainless steel pin. And armed with that pin, armed with that tool and the air hammer, in just a few minutes, I had it out of there. And you also have to have some, I think it's called number 7 drill rod. It's slightly less than 1/4 of an inch. Because the tool I'm pushing down with isn't 12 inches. So you push it down a little bit and then you throw another piece in there that's shorter, and then you hammer on it. So in just a few minutes, I took the pin out. Now, the solution, basically, I looked at the top of that 1/4 inch hole, and there are 4 different like what I call mini. There's only one hinge, but there's 4 places where it goes through about an inch each one.
Mhm.
And the 2 middle ones were reasonably round, but it was the top one and the bottom one that were oval shaped. And so that's why the door was moving when I tried to open it. And I hate to admit this, but what I had to do for the last year was duct tape to keep it from moving when I was traveling. So anyhow, so what I did is that hole is 1/4 of an inch, but it's now it's oval, so it's bigger than that. So the bottom line is I took a 5/8 inch drill, and I did work with this machine shop. He said, make sure you use a stub drill, not a regular drill. A stub drill is shorter, and it's so it won't move as much. And then he made me a little jig to put on top of it that was 1/4 inch thick, and it was made out of steel, because he said you don't want that drill to move. And so that was my guide. So I took that 1/4 inch hole and made it into a 5/16 inch hole. And I put a bushing in there that's 3/4 of an inch long, 5/16 OD, 1/4 inch ID.
Wow.
And I tapped it in. This was not difficult. I tapped it in and I held it in there with red, whatever they call that stuff.
Loctite.
Loctite, yeah.
Mhm.
Because I don't want it to move.
Right.
And I did that in 2 locations. Put the pin back in there, put the cross locking pin in,
Mhm.
and there's no wobble. Now, is it perfectly lined up? No. That's my next situation. Is there any way I can rotate it a little bit better? But the biggest problem was, at least my door is swinging, and it's swinging true. There's no wobble. So it was a very much a successful operation. Not all that difficult, but I'd like to see if I can improve it. But I'm afraid if I try something, I may end up screwing up what I did.
Mm.
But that's where I'm at.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I have investigated it a bit, and it makes total sense what you're saying about that the harder stainless steel pin is probably not what's going to wear.
Well, yeah, Vintage Trailer Supply. They say, well, we'll sell you a new pin. Well, the pin's not the problem.
Mhm.
Oh, one important point here. I bought these bushings, Amazon, 5 of them for $10. And they're bronze bushings. The biggest shock was when I got the box, made in the USA.
And it was from Amazon. Okay.
Yeah, 5 bushings.
Great.
And I'm going to write up a little thing and put it in Air Forums, or I'll put it any place you suggest. And I'll send you some photos if you'd like.
No, that'd be great. If you want to write it up a little more, DJ Watson, she could put it in our vintage newsletter. We're always looking for.
I think that would be a good place for it.
Yeah, we'd really appreciate it. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know I'm very interested. And
okay.
Yeah, that seems like what I'm going to have to, the route I'm going to have to go to. My biggest concern with it is getting, like you said, the alignment to where it ends up, and it's square, it's back.
Well, like I said, the aluminum is the problem. The aluminum has worn over time.
Mhm.
And it just needs, when you put a bushing in there, now it's round again.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
it was an easy fix. Well, like everything else, when you know how to do it, it's easy. It wasn't that hard.
That's what we're here for, to share this
Yeah.
sort of thing. I mean,
I agree.
a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of hinges, I have a question.
Sure.
I am working on a 1963, and that hinge is broken. It's supposed to look like that. Do you know where I can? It's a. Can you see it? Okay.
Yep, we can see it.
Any suggestions on where I can get it? Get one, or do I just need to get it fabricated somewhere?
Anybody have any ideas?
I don't really have an idea, but I have a 63 also with a broken hinge. So I share your concern.
Okay. All right. The other thing, I just started this one. I restored a 1962. I finished it a couple of years ago. Spent way too much money and too much time on it. I'm now got a 63, and this one has some hail damage. And I've got a painless dent repair guy says he can work on it if I've got the walls out. Anybody have luck getting? Is that especially in the curved part? I'd like that to go away in the curved part. Any success there?
I've had pretty good success with a dentless repair guy coming and works from the inside out. Sets up his mirrors. It's kind of challenging because, but if the windows are out, we've had really good success with this one right there. Had been in a hailstorm and he did a great job. So if you can give him access with the windows out, it helps a lot, and or vent.
All right, last question. I wound up with a tap-in oven that I don't want to reuse. Is there any kind of market for that? It seems like a great looking old oven.
Was that the original in your?
Yeah.
Okay.
On
Anybody
those
knows?
hinges.
You can put it on our VAC parts website,
Okay.
on Facebook if you desire.
Okay.
I can tell you last summer, I searched all over the country for an oven and bought one from Texas and was real happy to get it. So if there's somebody that needs it, they'll be thrilled to be able to find it.
Okay. What do you think a good price is?
I have to see it. Depends on condition, and I paid a couple $100 because I wanted it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Just a note on the hinges, you could try Colin Hyde. He's got parts trailers for the hinge. He'd be a good
What is it?
good one to try.
Hyde?
Colin Hyde's
Colin
Hyde.
Okay.
Up in New York.
Yep. Plattsburgh.
All right. Great. Thank you.
I do have something to add. Sorry, I was offline when you were mentioning you had a dent and dentless removal people. What was it you were trying to repair?
Oh, just some hail damage in the curved part. I was hoping they could get that out in the front.
I actually ended up buying one of those dentless repair, suction cup and I had a bit of hail damage and I was able to get a lot of it out. So
Okay.
I was pretty pleased with that. And that was, I wish I could remember. I'll try to put something on the VAC Facebook page as far as what system I use, but it seemed to work pretty good for, small damage, hail damage. So I was pretty pleased.
Okay.
Not to contradict Steve, but my dentless hail guy told me to stop trying to fix them. And he
Maybe
just
it's
did
just
so much
you,
better.
huh?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just maybe me.
I will say I had one victory that I thought maybe y'all would be interested in. I found a nomadic battery powered air conditioner. It wouldn't work on a very big unit, but I've got, these are the 1963 one is 22 feet and
Oh, you muted yourself, Adam.
Oh, sorry. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, I found a nomadic battery operated air conditioner, like the kind that the 18-wheelers use, but they've upgraded this for RVs, mainly for vans, I think. But I'm pretty fired up about this battery operated air conditioner. It's a lot more quiet. It's a lot smaller. So if anybody has to replace an air conditioner, I'd maybe consider it.
What's the BTU output?
I want to say, I don't know. I can send you the link to it, but it's I looked it all up, and it said that it would cover my 22-foot Airstream fine. Nomadic is the company. You can look them up. They've done a lot of research, and I think it seems great. I repaired the old Dometic one so many times. I just got tired of it.
Yeah, Adam, I was just curious. You said you'd done a 62.
Yes,
What model was that?
Safari.
Safari. Okay. I'm working on an Ambassador, 62 Ambassador right now. Are you on the forums?
I'm not. I didn't. Every once in a while I look in, but I need to check into that. I wasn't sure it was still operating.
Still operating. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a battery powered, 12-volt powered air conditioner that I'm planning on putting in I forget what they call it, a very small trailer, teardrop. It's from China, 2,000 BTUs. It's like, weighs 11 pounds. It's what they call a micro air conditioner, 12-volt powered. And I'm going to put that in a teardrop. Not big enough for an Airstream, unless you wanted to cool just a portion of it, like right where you were sleeping. But it's tiny. It's a micro air conditioner, and it's quiet. And it takes, I think, 100 watts, so it doesn't take much power.
Okay. Roger, you have your hand raised. Do you have something you'd like to talk with us about?
Yeah, I'm new here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just joined the VAC here a month ago or so. We've got a 94. Thank you. We've got a 94 Excella. And before that, we had a 58 Overlander. And so did quite extensive work on that. So I'm glad to be here among some fellow workers.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, definitely.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, I'm working on a 94 Excella myself. It's a 25-footer. It's pretty neat trailer. I like it a lot.
Yeah, we had step up from the 58. It was pretty basic. And so we found this 94, and we spend 2 or 3 months in the winter down in Texas. So it's much better. The 2 foot in length really makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. Is your padded vinyl ceiling still intact?
It is, yes.
No.
I think it was been repaired probably before we bought it in 18. So I think it was repaired probably back in maybe the early 2000s, but or at least part of it back by the closets, but it looks good.
I stripped all mine out and have the back bedroom done. I replaced it with 1/8-inch thick birch plywood.
Okay, I've seen that.
And to give it a nice warm feeling back in there, and which works, it's nice once you get that padded vinyl out of those, the trailers of that vintage. There's non-finished grade aluminum underneath, and there'll be like holes in it and stuff like that. But it's nice because you can add wiring. You can like cut open channels in that. And then in my case, because I'm putting a hard surface on top, you can just rivet it back in. You don't have to hit the ribs or anything. You just have to get aluminum to put it back in. And then the front half, I'm putting in a whole new overlay of the finished grade aluminum ordered right from Airstream. So it'll pretty much in the front look very similar to a new, and what they have in the new trailers. But that was the issue. The only real issue with mine is a trailer I picked up out in LA. So the frame, floor, everything else was fantastic on it. The clear coat's a little baked on it, but that's okay. I'm going to get it stripped out and polished and put some new graphics on it to pretty up the outside. But a wonderful trailer. Looking forward to it. I've added 200 watts of solar power to it, and new batteries, and going with an all-electric fridge for it to just kind of make it a little more modern, I guess.
Yep, I understand. I'm hoping my ceiling lasts quite a while. I don't look forward to doing that. We've put new axles under this. We put new AC, tankless water heater. What else? Just a bunch of little things. So I'm pretty safe traveling with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks, Roger.
John, I have a similar trailer. I have a 95 34 footer.
Okay.
With the falling down ceiling.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the same as you. I've removed all the vinyl.
Yeah. And I took all the mouse fur out too, because the problem with it, from what I found out, is that's right when Airstream was switching over from, well, EPA mandated from going from solvent-based adhesives to more of the water-based latex. And in high temperature situations, they would fail. And it would also bleed adhesive components through the mouse fur on the side. So my mouse fur looked like somebody vomited all over it. It was really ugly. But let's get Fred Buckholtz, you're up next. What do you got going for us?
There we go. Unmute. So I have a 69 Overlander, and I was in an accident last July, and it wrecked. There are 4 panels on the back that I removed. 2, I had to replace the big rectangular center panel, which was easy. A panel on the lower right side was really smashed, and I found one up in Canada that had been old stock. So I drove up there and got that. And the 2 other panels, I took up to Colin, and one of his guys used the English wheel and was able to get the dents out of it. So I'm down to, I've got those all pinned on the back. The problem I'm having, and it's a problem that a lot of people have, is finding aluminum banana wraps that'll work. Vintage Trailer Supply had some, but only like left side from the rear was all they had left. So I got 2 of those, and I might try to piece those together. Anybody with any line on banana wrap, aluminum banana wraps? I found plastic ones. There's a lot of other possibilities, but I'd like to keep original aluminum.
Are the ones that you have, Fred, totally destroyed, or are they still in one piece?
One of them's not in one piece. They're really mangled up. I took them up to Colin, and he said, yeah. Well, he said anything could be fixed, but the number of hours, they're just really mangled. I could bring them in. Yeah. So no ideas. I wish someone would start making them again.
Yeah, I pounded them out. They were really bad shape, and I've had them sent on an English wheel, and they came out pretty amazing. And they were pretty bad shape, but it sounds like, so you could save the one, then you're down to just looking for one new one. Or
Right.
one, yeah.
Yeah,
and
one
so
has
then you
a long rip in it that's sort of like a gash,
Yes, yeah.
and almost in two pieces.
Yeah. That's Yep.
The other part I'm looking for are the little flanges that go between the frame and the body in the front. I found somebody on a forum that was going to try to computer print them or something. Any ideas on this part?
Well, they would be plastic then, wouldn't they? If they were
These are
gonna
vacuum
computer
formed.
print them.
These are
3D
vacuum
Oh,
formed
they
plastic
are. Mm-hmm. Okay.
from the 69.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing what young people today now can do with their 3D printing. I have
Right.
a son does some neat stuff. He's never done anything to do with my trailer or anything, but if we could find some people like that, that'd be a great resource for us. Because really, if you can draw up an engineering drawing, accurate engineering drawing, they'll generate a model from it, and then from that model they can 3D print it. And you might try also, like in our area here, several of the high schools they call them fab labs.
Mm-hmm.
And you could run into some talented people there, and they'll basically a lot of times do them for their materials costs, because it's a learning project for their students.
Right.
Too.
That's
But
a good idea.
We think of things like English wheel. They think of 3D printing,
Right.
Where are we going from?
Okay.
This
Tara?
is Jody, and that part you were looking for. Try Icon, ICON Technologies. I have a part number for you.
Okay.
It's 15032.
I'll give that a try. Thank you.
Yeah, we have some right here.
Once.
Oh, we just have one? Okay.
Okay. Tara, you're up next.
My name is Todd Marchek. We just got into Airstreaming a year ago, thanks to George and DJ, and we bought a 72 Overlander. I've done some work on it. Had to pull out the whole bathroom because it was cracked, and I welded the plastic and did some probably Bondo and wired it all back together, and put the bathroom back together, and mostly because my wife wanted the shower door that we drove to Ohio and found one. But now that it said, was it amber?
Yeah.
On the wall by the shower door is a little lever twist thing that looks like it would lock the shower door, to the open position while you're traveling. But when we got the door, it doesn't reach all the way to that. I was wondering, was there a strap that went across that?
Don't do that. No.
Okay. Does anybody know whether there was a strap or not, or how that door was locked, or what the little lock is on that back of that wall? It's a 72 Overlander.
We have a 72 Ambassador, and there is a strap that, based upon what you described, is the shower door kind of fold back against itself.
Right.
So there should be a canvas strap, and if you don't have one, you might be able to get one made. And the one end is more or less bolted to the wall that the shower door folds back against. And it sounds like you have the twisting tie
clip,
piece, the clip. I don't know, you might, again, have a canvas strap made with an opening that'll fit over that twisting lock.
Okay, so well, right now I've got a really scientific modern technology. I've got two bungee cords holding it. So, but yeah, it's been interesting because it's been 1 year we've had it. I did the bathroom, pulled out the old floor. In the South, we say if we want to say something bad about somebody but not be rude, we say bless his heart. Well, whoever put the floor in, bless his heart, was no carpenter or floor layer. So I pulled that out, and we decided to go in with cork. And so I laid that, and then we both the freshwater tank and the black tank was both cracked. So I welded those back together and put them back in. But but the Airstream's about 90% original, so I feel like it's worth it, all the extra effort.
Hey, great. Hey, thanks for Tom helping you out with some ideas.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Hey, John, I could maybe be of some help with Dexter axles. Dexter axles and I have not been had the best success together, although they've always treated me well. If you can see the wear on this tire, I don't know if you can see how.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this was I restored this trailer, did a renovation job on this trailer, and these have these white walls you can get. So they're kind of special tires. I don't have the baby moons on it right now. So the tires started to wear like that about 1.5 years ago. And I called up Dexter, and they said they wouldn't warranty them. But after a couple going back and forth, they said they would replace the 2 axles. And so they didn't say they accepted any responsibility, any fault, but they did send me 2 new axles. The new axles, then they sent 1 year ago. We went on a trip this winter, took the bearings out. The last axle I took, the retainer nut was stripped. And so I was able to get it off, put a couple washers in there where it was stripped and get it back on, because I did this the night before I was leaving for a 6-week trip. I sent them pictures of it, and they sent me another new axle. And so I've got to replace that because it is stripped. But, I just be really careful with checking those axles, and they've been really pretty good to work with. They've sent me too many replacement axles in my 6 years, but I guess watch the nuts, watch the retainer clips, and make sure you're greasing them, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the toe, they actually bend that into them, don't they? So that's somebody who didn't quite get it right on the line. Was it both axles that you had it, or both off one of the axles?
So yeah, both axles had failed. I put about 15,000 miles on them. So this was after I owned them. So the rubber, something went wrong with them, and they wouldn't admit it, but something failed where they were willing to send me 2 new axles. So they wouldn't say what happened, but they did replace them. Because all 4 tires, the same thing happened.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you get those fancy white walls from?
So you can get them. They're $100 from Diamondback Tires, D&B Tires in Oh, I think they're South Carolina, North Carolina. And if you look right here, I have 4 new ones. These here are healing. I don't know if you can see that. And I've got lots of these tires like that. And so I called them up and said, hey, your white walls are coming off. And they said, well, it's within the 2-year warranty. And they sent me $1,200 worth of tires.
Oh, wow.
So they're standing behind their tires very, very well.
Neat. I know, I always like the way they look on your trailers, Ron. They're kind of your signature.
Thank you. Yeah, they're there in the back.
Yeah. Glenn H, are you raising your hand? You're muted. You're still muted.
Hello,
There
is
you
that better?
Yes.
There we are. Hey, this has been informative. I have a 1969, and we had to replace a couple of panels on the back, and so we bought new panels from Airstream, and they have a coating on them, and it's an epoxy coating, and I need to know how to remove that coating so that I can polish them.
From what I have heard, it's epoxy, but there's also a fluorocarbon in them as well that really gives them their exceptional life, and that coating is extremely difficult to remove. Has anybody had success doing that? Has anybody heard of anybody? All I've heard is that it's like crazy hard to get it off.
I've tried sanding it. Like I took a little piece out where the window went, and I tried sanding that, and it does sand off, and you can polish it, but that'd be a lot of sanding.
Yeah, sanding on aluminum is, at least in my opinion, the last resort. Unless you had a special situation where it's, because I think especially if you talk to people in the aircraft industry, my brother's a FAA A&P, and they say that you can cause a lot more problems down the road on the panels by sanding on them. You really don't know what you're doing, and especially if you get too aggressive with it. But I believe that the coatings are from PPG, and I don't know if somebody in their technical department might be able to give you some information, but yeah, it's tough stuff, which is what they want on their new trailers, and that that's they can't get the old aluminum. That's the whole problem, So you're getting the same aluminum they're putting on new trailers now.
Yeah.
Right.
And
you could try Colin Hyde again. That would be your best bet. But I believe you have a different type of aluminum, and so the aluminums are not going to match. The old trailer, it could be a 2024 T or something. So that's, I think, the main issue.
I can get it looking a whole lot better. Like that piece that I sanded, I can polish it and make it look a whole lot better than what it does now.
Did they draw that in the factory over their bucks that they have? Is it a stretch formed panel?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
I don't know. It
Is
came from
it-
air. I didn't realize it had the coating on it because it had a plastic coating on it as well. So I riveted it all into place, and then when I pulled off the plastic panel, it's protective panel, then I realized it didn't have the finish on it.
Is it a compound curve?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's the
it's stretch formed. You know, you probably can, through air parts, you could get much closer aluminum, but I don't know if you could get Airstream to stretch it. That's the whole thing. You know, stretch form it over their buck is what gets it to the right shape. But they're just using the material that they're using for new trailers.
right.
But I don't know. It'd be really cool if you could get older material and they would stretch form it for you, because they've got the equipment to do it.
Yeah.
Hey, John, you know,
Yeah.
some of these guys that professionally polish Airstreams, would they be a potential source to figure out if they have a way of taking that coating off as they're, polishing trailers?
Certainly, yeah, Tom, that's a good, because, if they've tried enough, materials, stripping materials, maybe they've come across some concoction that works.
Right. So we just had our trailers polished by a guy out of Florida. And he polishes, aluminum tank trucks and so forth. So it's just a thought that maybe I'll put you in contact with this guy. Maybe others know other polishers, and maybe they have some formula or system of dealing with those new panels.
Right.
Is that Barker, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's who I'm thinking of. He did ours.
He did one of ours also.
So Glenn, you can reach out to either Steve or I, treasurer at vintageairstreamclub.com, or you probably have Steve's, and we'll track down Barker's information, and you can at least call him and explain that. He might say he has a solution, he might not.
Okay.
You can see Phil's, the back of his behind him. He polished his trailer right there.
And he uses an acid solution.
I've used Barker on a few trailers as well. He uses a citrus strip and aerosol cans to strip the clear coat and plastic coat off the trailers, and then he'll use an acid wash prior to his first cut.
Yeah, the original clear coat came off like nothing. That was easy to get off.
Okay, then I think you're dealing with what needs to be acid washed. I mean, if you're planning on polishing, you'll have to have it acid washed, power washed, and cut after an acid wash.
Okay. All good information. Thanks.
So the acid wash is 10% muriatic acid and 90% water. And that's what cuts. And it's just a cleaning agent that cleans between the coats. And it'll leave that cloudy, raw aluminum look. But I think you really have two different types of metals, but it can be polished.
Let's see. Fred, you got your hand back up?
I do. So I've got all these 4 panels, and I have a friend who built airplanes, so he gave me 300 Cleco clamps, and I've got all the panels clamped together. When I took them apart, there was a black tape that was between some of the seams. And I'm just wondering, is butyl the best thing to put between the seams? What are different experiences, and what do you think this black tape that was originally used in '69 was?
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's a good question.
It seemed like a paper-based black tape that was between the seams.
Ron, anybody?
Well, Colin would recommend Silkaflex. This is what I've used in many, many trailers. And I put enough on, I put tape on it, and it's a messy job. But this is what I've used, and it seems to work very, very well. I also go back on the inside then after and coat the inside of the panels with it. But this will stay. You have to use a polyurethane. They didn't use. I don't think they've used butyl on them, but that's what Colin's taught me anyhow.
Mm-hmm. So what you said you use tape, that's just to mask out the area? Or
Yeah,
what,
I'll mask.
what's the tape
Put it
doing?
together. Put it together dry.
Right.
Put some 2-inch tape on the area you don't want this to go all over it because it's kind of a pain to clean.
Right.
And so I'll drill out clecos on every other one, tape it off to try to keep the adhesive off everything. Take it apart, put the adhesive on, put the clecos in. It's going to ooze out everywhere, which you want, and then buck rivet. It's messy. It takes a while, but I've done lots of these. I've had 4 panels off on this one back here, and it works in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, so no gray butyl. Anybody?
Not by me, but somebody.
Right? Anybody else use gray butyl in putting panels back on? No. Yes.
It's pretty thick is the issue.
Yeah, I think the problem is it's too thick.
Yeah, that was my concern. You know, I didn't know if I needed to roll it and, get it warm or,
Butyl's more.
Because I've worked with butyl in other situations, but not on an Airstream putting panels back on.
Yeah, it's more.
I'd be worried with a material that thick that over time it's going to break down. And
right.
When you have that much of a gap, it's just going to leak like crazy, I would think. But, I defer to others here with much more experience than I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anybody else have anything they want to throw out here to us?
I just want to say to Glenn, I did put Barker's phone number in the chat for you.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Question I have is anybody I took it upon myself to start polishing my Caravelle and found that there's a lot of difference in materials that you can get. And I found that for me, and everybody has their own preference. For me, I like using the edge wheels, and but the compounding bars really, there's a lot of difference between them from different people. Anybody know what's your best source for compounding bars? Does anybody have any recommendations there? Barker I heard he was going to put together, Tom, you got to unmute, please.
Okay. Barker uses a Marpol, a Rouge, a bar, and I mean, you can obviously order from Renegade. Renegade makes pretty good bars as well. So those are 2 options for you.
Yeah,
Hey, John.
Yep.
Are you using like what, a 6-inch, 3/4 inch wide wheel like on a drill?
Oh no, well no, I use the big heavy duty polisher and the larger the airway
Right,
wheel.
right angle.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, well, I bought all my rouge at either Lowe's or Harbor Freight.
Okay.
You know, because that's what I did mine with. I started with brown, went to green, before I went to the random orbital polisher.
Okay.
John, I can, if you text, I'll have to get Jesse with Silver Flamingo here in Minneapolis. He's been doing my trailers, and I just don't know what bars he's using, but I could get you his contact. But it's
Thanks.
Silver Flamingo, Jesse, and
I think I got his from our newest Region 7 rep, Pat Johns. I think they're.
Yep. Pat works with him quite well. Yep.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's good to be part of the group. Nice to see you in person. And, yeah. Jesse is silverflamingo.pro. Silverflamingo.pro will get you to him.
Okay, great. Thanks, Pat. Didn't recognize you there at first. I think because your screen title threw me. All right. Okay, well, we've got quite a slate of things going on in all our different regions coming up this summer. I think there's gonna be a lot of good opportunities for folks to get out with their rigs and get at rallies and going on over there. All right. We're all trying to get our trailers looking good and running well and everything. And you can always try to reach out to folks in our club. And I know most of us are always happy to share our expertise and everything. And when you also, I'd really like to encourage folks that when you find something that is working for you well, or a supplier, vendor, or anything, write up a little blurb and send it in so we can get it in our newsletter. We can get that, down so that other people can find it in the future and everything too. I think that's helpful for everybody. Steve Blackmer, do you have anything you want to add before we finish up here, or any of our other officers? The floor is yours.
I guess I could mention that for those that are voting members of the VAC, you should be receiving a letter sometime on Friday. And this is in regards to a special notice for a special meeting on May 13th. And that day, we are going to be voting on our constitution and bylaw revisions that we have. So take note of that email that you received Friday. Please be sure to open it up and follow the instructions. That's about it.
And I just want to add that that's a really important meeting. And one of our most important things is that we need to make sure we have a quorum for that meeting. And so you and your partner and your membership each have a vote. You each count towards that quorum. So, try to get anybody that who's a voting member to try to take part in that meeting so that we can meet our quorum and we can move forward with those changes. I know we've worked really hard for over a year on updating our constitution and bylaws, and we really want to make sure that we can carry those forward. So thank you for that. And hopefully we'll see you that day. Okay. to everybody, unless anybody has anything else.
Just one
Bill?
clarification.
Okay, Bill.
Can you hear? Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, something Ron said about it was a Silkaflex caulking.
Yes.
Yeah, what I was using was a Tempro 635. I was using Butyl for the windows. So just to clarify on that. But do you have another opinion about the Silkaflex as a sealant for the interior? That's what you've been using? From Ron, that was directed towards Ron.
I don't know if I see Ron on here still. He may have dropped off.
Ron is on. He needs to be unmuted.
Oh, okay.
I don't see him, but
There we go. Am I back?
Yeah.
there you are.
You're there.
Yeah. So yes, butyl tape on the windows for sure. Sometimes in some areas, a couple layers. And then the Silkaflex is really expensive now. $12, $15 a tube. So you go Home Depot and just use a different polyurethane on the inside to see all the seams. I'll go through 10 or 20 tubes on the inside over every seam with a caulking gun, and then I'll take a stick, a shim, and smooth it out over them, but with a less expensive. But polyurethane, again, everybody knows no silicone.
Okay, but as comparing that to the Tempro, that pretty much the same product or different?
Now the Silkaflex, I believe, is an adhesive. Silkaflex is an adhesive and a sealant, and so you want the adhesive part. That some of the others are just a sealant.
Okay.
Ron, do you have to use a pneumatic gun with that? Because I find myself that some of these things are so hard by hand to squeeze out. It's like your arms are going to feel like they're going to fall off after one tube. I can't imagine doing a dozen.
So Ryobi makes a cheap caulking gun, a battery operated caulking gun, and like $100 versus like $300 or $400 for a Makita or a Milwaukee. So that's what I use. I don't buy a lot of Ryobi, but that one works good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, on the 221 Silkaflex, you get it in. I just noticed it comes in different colors, so you get gray.
Gray. Yeah, I just use that throughout the trailer.
Right. So I saw it on Amazon. I mean, just because that was my first look, and there it is. But you're right, it's expensive and
really expensive.
How much, like on one panel, how many tubes basically? Before
you could probably do quite a few. I mean, you probably maybe an 1/8 inch, bead around, and I'll smooth it out a little bit with my finger. I mean, I'm covering just one layer before when you put them, before you click them.
Right.
But you want to have enough on there so that
sure.
In between those rivets, it's not tight. You're going to need that adhesive.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, thanks for the help.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you to everybody who participated tonight. We really appreciate it. We hope you got something valuable out of our chat tonight, and look forward in probably about next one will be in about 3 months, I think. We've already been throwing around some topics, and we'll keep coming with these for you. We'll see y'all next time. All right.
Thanks. Take care.
All right. Safe
Thanks,
travels.
John.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks all.